Welcome to Mama's Telling Tales podcast. I'm so happy you're here to read a story with me today. We come out with 3 new books every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so make sure to check out some other stories. Today we're going to be reading the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears, so I hope you enjoy. Once upon a time, there was 3 bears that lived in a nice little house in a great forest. There was Father Bear, Mother Bear, and Baby Bear, and they each had a bed to sleep in, a chair to sit on, and a bowl and spoon for eating milk or honey, which was their favorite food. One morning, the 3 bears resolved on taking a walk before breakfast. But before they went out, they poured their warm milk into their bowls, and that way it might be cool by the time that they came back. When the milk was poured out, the 3 bears set out on a walk. Mr. and Mrs. Bear walked arm in arm, and Baby ran by their side. "What a fine day it is," growled Mr. Bear. "What a fine day it is," said Mrs. Bear.
What a fine day,
Squeaked Little Bear. And so it was. The sun shone brightly, though it was low in the sky, and its rays glittered on the fine webs on the grass. The leaves shivered in the soft breeze, and the wood pigeon cooed. The lark sang loud enough to make himself hoarse, and the sparrows chirped. The bees buzzed, and a yellow butterfly perched right on the great bear's nose.
Oh, what a squeaky noise these creatures make,
said Big Bear as he brushed off the butterfly.
What a pity it is that they have not our deep voices.
Yes, said Mrs. Bear. You have a much finer voice than the lark. I should like to hear him growl as you do.
Oh, my dear, you are too kind. My growl is nothing to the lion's.
And thus conversing, the bears walked on. Now there lived in the same forest a sweet little girl whose name was Goldilocks. She was the woodsman's daughter, and her hair looked just like sunbeams. She knew every tree in the greenwood and every flower in it, and she loved the birds, and she liked to listen to their song, and everything in the wood loved Goldilocks. The trees bent down their lower branches to touch her glittering head as she passed, and the birds sang sweeter as she glided by. The lark's song in the sky was,
come up, Goldilocks. Here is your happy home.
Coo, I love you, coo, I love you, coo, cooed the wood pigeon as she passed. Toot, toot, pretty child, toot, toot, said the sparrow. Oh, you darling, sang the blackbird, and Goldilocks laughed with glee, for she liked to be loved. As to the butterflies, they flew after her and rested on her hair and tickled her cheeks, but she never tried to catch them. She would not frighten or vex them for anything. She loved all of the creatures, and that's why they loved her. Love makes love. Dear little Goldilocks, she went on singing merrily through the greenwood, saying something to herself.
I wish I could sing as well as the lark.
By and by, little Goldilocks reached the bear's house. She had never seen it before, and she wondered who had lived there. A window was open, and Goldilocks peeked in.
Dear me,
thought the child.
Whose house can it be? There's a table and 3 chairs and 3 bowls of hot milk all steaming and nobody to drink it. But I don't see any work or books or anything else. I think I'll go in and see who lives here.
So she tapped on the door and cried,
Is anyone at home?
But there was no answer. Then Goldilocks stepped in very carefully and looked about her. She could not see anyone, nor hear anyone snoring, so she just walked into the bear's house. There was a fire, which made the room cheerful, and the hot milk looked very inviting. It quite seemed to say, "Come and have some breakfast." and the early spring air made Goldilocks rather cold and very hungry, so she sat down by the fire in the little bear's chair. It was too small for her, but she did not quite sit down at first. In a moment she got up again and she went around the table and tasted the milk in all the bowls. Little Bear's was the nicest because it had sugar in it, and Goldilocks thought it was so good, so she took the bowl and she sat down again in the little bear's chair, took his spoon, and ate up all of his milk. Now this was very wrong. A tiny bear is only a tiny bear. Still, he has the right to keep his own things. But Goldilocks did not know any better. Unluckily, Baby Bear's chair was, as we have to say, too small for her. She broke the seat and fell through, bowl and all. Then Goldilocks went upstairs, and there was, she saw 3 beds in a row. Goldilocks lay down on Father Bed's bear first, but it was much too long for her. And then she lay down in Mother Bear's bed, but that was too wide for her. Last of all, she lay down on Baby Bear's bed, and that's where she fell asleep, for she was so tired. By and by, the bears came home. Baby Bear saw that his chair was broken and thrown down, and he cried in a very squeaky voice,
Somebody's been here.
And Father Bear growled,
Somebody has been here.
and Mother Bear growled more softly,
Somebody has been here.
Then they went to the table and they looked at their breakfast, and the Father Bear growled,
Who has touched my bowl?
and Mother Bear growled,
Who has touched my bowl?
Tiny Bear squeaked,
Somebody has broken mine.
and then Tiny Bear began to cry, for he was very fond of his own bowl and his own chair, and besides he was very hungry after this long walk in the forest. It really did seem a shame. And then the 3 bears thought that they would go over their house to see who had been in it and, try to see if they could find this thief. They went upstairs to their bedrooms, which was over their other room, and as soon as they saw the tumbled beds, Father Bear growled,
Who's been lying on my bed?
Mother Bear growled,
Who's been lying on my bed?
Tiny Bear squeaked out,
Oh, here is a little girl in my bed, and it must be she who has eaten my breakfast and broken my chair.
Then Father Bear growled,
Let us eat her up.
Mother Bear growled,
Let us eat her up.
Tiny Bear squeaked.
Let us eat her up.
The noise they made woke Goldilocks, and you may imagine how frightened she was when she saw 3 bears. She startled out of bed and jumped at once right out the window. The bears rushed after her, and the Father Bear caught her golden hair in his teeth. But she left a lock behind and still ran on. Then the 3 bears all jumped out after her. They just fell one on the top of the other and rolled over and over. And while they were picking themselves up, little Goldilocks ran home, and they were not able to catch her. But I do not think she had acted rightly, though she did not deserve to be eaten up. It was very wrong to break Little Bear's chair and eat his milk, and I think Goldilocks will have to take great care to keep out of the reach of the 3 bears. That's the end of the story today. I hope you guys enjoyed that version of the 3 little bears. Bye.